これ以上ロクサーヌ一人に負担をかけるわけにはいかないな。解決策はやはりパーティーの前衛を増やすべきか。
So as you know, and if you don't know, I'm gonna tell you, I never really hate on Harem in Labyrinth of Another World. I actually typically praise it for being something kind of special, because, you know, at the end of the day, it is a harem anime based in a fantasy world. And on top of all of that, it's also an isekai. So it's a harem, fantasy, isekai. Pretty atypical stuff. And I think we can all agree that most isekai anime have some kind of sprinkling of harem on top of it. Completely okay. Now, that's not every isekai anime. Some diverge from that. And the ones that do aren't always good either. So there's always a middle ground to it. The reason I'm starting off the video saying that specifically is this episode felt kind of pointless to me and felt kind of like a waste, and also made me realize one thing. The fan service that is on offer here in Harem in Labyrinth of Another World is... Well, let me say this first. I do not recommend watching this show, and you can do whatever you want, okay? My personal opinion is I do not recommend watching this show censored. I recommend watching the uncensored version. Reason being is there's so much fan service that the creator, whoever the creator is of this show, and I don't know off the top of my head, I'm not some kind of anime expert, okay? Whoever created this show, whoever created the source material, intended Tickle Bitties and everything, bazangas, to be shown in all their glory, okay? And if you don't like that, you just don't watch it, it means it's just not for you. But for some people, it's catered to them, and it's meant to be watched that way. So when you watch the censored version, although you still get the gist of it, there's certain things like kissing, like French kissing, that's censored out, which I'm not sure on why that is. It might be a design decision. It might just be like, hey, let's just kind of cater to us being on television. Kissing seems pretty normal. That being censored seems a little extreme to me, but regardless, it is. So I don't recommend watching the censored version. Just like if you were to ask me about High School DxD, I think the censored version of that sucks because there's so much jugular action that it's meant to be watched in its purest form. So in this one, I don't recommend watching the censored version. I watched, because what I do on these episodes is I grab the source, I download it, and then I use that to edit. And I watched like 2 minutes of the beginning of this episode because it was just playing. And the censored version is awful. So like myself, I wait, about an hour or two after release before reviewing this. And I watched the uncensored version. And there wasn't even that much fan service this episode. We have we had the beginning scene, the sexy scene. We had the bath scene. And those were really the two main scenes that encompass the censorship, or that require the censorship this episode. But it being uncensored is a much better experience. And all this showed, like I said, was some bazangas and some kissing. That's really all this showed. You know what I mean? It doesn't go further than that. So, like I said, I really recommend that you watch the uncensored version, or at least at some point, if you enjoy fan service, right? If you're just here for plot and story, don't worry about it. But if you enjoy the fan service, which I'm sure you do, which is completely okay, anybody can enjoy it, go back and rewatch the uncensored versions of all the episodes that you missed. All right. The reason I think this episode was a waste is nothing happened this episode. The main thing that happened this episode was the end of it. The last 30 seconds of the episode where you have where it's setting up for what's to come, right? Where you have MICHIO talking about, they've been facing some hardships, and those hardships have incurred injuries when it comes to Roxanne. Roxanne has been taking the brunt of all of the injuries, and Michio's been doing a dual back, kind of like magician, wizard, healer, kind of background character to heal, and then he comes in and swoops to do like the finishing blows and things like that. But the main brunt of the force of his party is done by Roxanne. So the end of this episode, he realizes that, and he's like, I need to add somebody else to the party. and I need an additional fighter. I need an additional frontline person. Much like Shield Hero, how you have, Raftalia and Philo at the front, and you have Naofumi in the back or Naofumi in the front, and then there's a better duality, a better system in play when you have multiple party members. And we did see that at some point he's gonna have a full party of different people who have different characteristics that they bring to the party. But outside of that, this episode, I was disappointed because the thing that I wanted the most out of the next episode was to finally see him add somebody else to the party. And I've been waiting on that to come. And at the end of the day, we're 9 episodes into a 12-episode season. So we only have episode 10, 11, and 12 left. We have 3 episodes, and they're going to introduce a brand new character or characters, probably just one. They're going to introduce a character or characters on the 10th episode. So it means we're going to get them on the 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then the end of the season is going to be done. And we may never get any more from here. So the fact is, you can't do that character development so quickly in that short of a time. We're going to spend a very small amount of time with this character, and that sucks. Whereas they could have introduced the character this episode, and we could have got episode 9, 10, 11, 12. We got 4 episodes with them. I would have still liked them a little bit earlier, but that is a better situation than what we got, which is just a whole fan service episode, which is them spending time at the house, gardening, grabbing tools, grabbing a bathtub to wash clothes in, custom ordering a real bathtub so you can have some 13-year-old fantasy, him taking a bath, sexy time. That's all we got, really, this episode. That's all we got. And, as I'm watching the fan service, and I kind of pre-mentioned it, is the fan service here is really like a 13-year-old's fantasy desires of what they imagine sex life to be. And I appreciate it, you know what I mean? He is a young, strapping 17-year-old man, recently lost his virginity. I understand you want to hump like a bunny at all times. I remember putting myself out there. But I remember when that happened to me, yeah, it's pretty much like, yeah, you have sex on the brain for like the next 6 months, right? And if you can make it happen with others, like that envelops like your pursuit of trying to, get those things done. So I completely understand the cardinal desire for it. But it's one of those things to where it's like the way that they do it here, it's like it's just a sprinkle of fan service. It's like, again, it's like what a 13-year-old imagines, a sex life to be. Is it okay? Sure. Yeah, it's fine. It's cute. But really, there's nothing else to happen this episode. So can't wait to see what happens next week. This was a very okay episode, 5 out of 10. Nothing happened this episode, really. Just set up our next episode for what's going to happen next. Outside of that, ain't nothing happened. So let me know what you guys think about all of that in the comments below. Let me know what version you're watching. Let me know if you're watching the Crunchyroll censored stuff, or if you're waiting to watch the uncensored version, which is the better version. Let me know what you're watching in the comments below, and just let me know your thoughts on this episode, on the nothingness that happened, but maybe I missed something. Fulfill me in the comments. All right, see you guys next week. Deuces.